Hello everyone, my name is Natalia Batista. I'm a Swedish manga artist. I've been working for, almost 15 years, I think, with manga. And I would like to make a video where I talk about, more like a vlog, where I can talk more about the feeling of being a manga artist. And in this video, I wanted to talk about how to kind of value your own work. I think in many ways we artists, we're very good at criticizing ourselves. And that is, in my opinion, actually a very good way to learn how to make comics, is to actually just be good at seeing your work and correcting them, correcting how you draw. The problem is that we get very critical of our own work. The comic here I'm working on is for a comic competition, and I've been joining comic competitions for a couple of times through my career. Some of the competitions was very much a learning process. It was learning how to make comics and learning how to make manga, and that's what I like about comic competitions. You actually have a reason to sit down and make a comic. But it's also very hard to send in a comic to a contest and not win. You work so hard for it and not even get, a chance to show your work to the world. I understand that feeling. I've been through it. But what I would like to talk about in this episode is more about how I would like us artists to see ourselves, how I see myself, how I see my art, how I motivate myself to keep working on comics and making works that people enjoy. I think one thing is to kind of think for yourself, why do you make comics? I think about that a lot. Why do I keep working? Why put so much time into something that maybe only a couple of people like? I don't know. Is it that important that thousands and millions of people like your work? I don't know. Is it really that important that 1,000 or 1,000,000 or 10,000 people read your work? Is it that really what should be motivating us artists? I don't know. I don't think so. I think what should be motivating us is more to get our work out there and just show it to someone. If just one person like what you do, that's enough. Shouldn't it be that? For me, what I get motivated by is seeing, just creating things and seeing how that affects someone when they read it. Yes, I still feel that the reader is very important to me. Why would I then, if I didn't think about the reader, why would I even care about it? Why would I even care about putting it out there? What motivates me when I make comics is, first of all, the feeling of drawing, of just creating. But when I draw, I also think about, how will someone view this? How will someone read this story? Are they gonna feel some special feelings, or are they gonna... is this comic going to remind them of someone or something they've been experiencing? Those things motivate me a lot. And that's why the reader is very important to me. But maybe for you it's something else. I don't know. Maybe it's just the fact that you're creating, that you can see how something comes from your hand and becomes something on a piece of paper. One of my biggest issues, though, is that I many times compare myself with others, with other artists. Especially when I go to social media and I see a lot of artists that's doing really good. They have great style, they get a lot of followers, they have a great routine, they publish daily or several times a week. And I think I'm not a good artist if I don't do that, if I don't post daily, or if I don't have thousands of likes on a picture, or if I don't have, 100k followers somewhere. Is that making me less of an artist or less of a good artist? To be honest, my biggest issue with not having a lot of followers on certain medias or certain platforms is actually not much for me, but I notice how, for example, my editors or publishers, I just get the sense that if I had more followers, they would trust me as an artist. They would publish me, they would show my work. That so much of my career is hanging on the fact that I don't have enough followers. And to be honest, I don't think there's a bad thing in that, because I can see from the point of view of a publisher that if you're gonna publish someone, if it's between an artist that is really good but has 3,000 followers, or an artist that is okay but have, I don't know, 20,000 followers, it's probably better out of an economical standpoint of view to publish the one with the most followers, because it's a better chance of getting the book to sell. And I really understand that point of view. But the issue though is that there's a lot of artists that doesn't have that many followers, and they're still really good, and they're not going to be published. How do we do so we don't compare ourselves to each other, to each other's social media platforms or pages, or so we don't compare ourselves style-wise to each other? It's a tricky question, and I really think the best way is to see each other as like part of the same tribe, kind of. We're all helping each other. It's hard to say that, but for me, that's been my biggest motivator, is to, instead of seeing people as rivals, try to see them as possible collaborators, or see how their success actually helps me as well. Because the more artists that get acknowledged or get out there, get published, the more chances I might get, or my business might get. If I want to go back and talk a little bit about the fact that when you send in a comic for a competition, for example, you put a lot of thoughts or hopes into the competition. You put a lot of, I don't know, expectations into the fact that you're sending something off to someone else to look at. It's fun, and it's very thrilling, but it's also very much it's meant to become a disappointment, because very few people win. To be honest, it's a very, very little chance that anyone that is sending in is actually going to win. Only a few people do. So why do we still keep sending to competitions? Should one stop sending to competitions just because the chances are so small to win? No, we should keep sending to competitions and applying for them. And that's actually the thing with competitions. It's not about winning, is it? It's about participating. The winning is kind of, in many ways, not even an extra, not even a bonus. It's just not the important part. The important part is to participate, to finish, to make something. I've been working for 15 years with making manga. I've been making manga for books, anthologies. I've been working with organizations and with projects. I've been organizing festivals. I've been organizing projects where other artists got to show their work. I try to be a team player, support other artists as well. To be honest, I've never really felt like that had been acknowledged by my peers. Of course, by the ones that I help, yes, they are thankful. But a lot of the people on the top, the people that, I don't know, the people that kind of show support for comics, or premiere comics, or give awards, a lot of them have overlooked my work, I think. Might be because I make comics that look like manga-inspired stuff. Sometimes I think it has been. At least in Sweden, there is some kind of bias against manga, actually. That's my opinion. And I see this in other countries as well. and I probably will make a video about that too, without sounding too much of a victim, because it's not a victimhood. It's more like I feel sad that they can't accept us manga artists. That aside, though, I still think that there should be an acceptance of the fact that art doesn't have to look one way to be good art, and comics doesn't have to be a certain kind of comics to be accepted. There's a lot of comic artists that work with very simple tools or techniques, or some artists that are really technically savvy and tried styles or techniques that are very advanced. But maybe that's not what should define us, and not even the stories. Maybe some stories are very simple love stories, and some stories are very, I don't know, advanced historical stories. Is that really what should define a good and a bad story? In my point of view, I think every finished comic is a good comic. As long as you create it, as long as you finish it, and as long as you can feel proud of the fact that you finished it, it's a good comic. For me at least, that's my motivator. Like I said, I feel I've been working for a really long time, and sometimes I've felt like I've been overlooked, or that my work haven't been appreciated or awarded. But maybe that's not what's important. And that's what I want to tell you, that don't mind others. Don't think that the other people's point of view matter for your art. As long as you create it, and as long as you have fun creating it, and maybe even as long as a few people like it, as long as there's someone that wants to read your comics, then it's worth it. Then it's worth making it. Throughout my career, I've met a lot of different artists. I've been working as a teacher for a lot of the time. I've met colleagues and students that I think was great artists and have great ideas, and some of them stopped making comics. And I feel a little bit sad about that, because I sometimes think it's because, or what I hear from them is that I hear that they a lot of the times feel that making comics is hard to motivate yourself, and it's hard to find a good level of what kind of comics you want to make and where to put them to make it worth making them, like online or in a zine, for example. Because motivation is usually the problem. That's usually what people have trouble with. It comes back to that every time. How do we motivate ourselves? For some people, getting as many followers as possible is a motivation. But I don't think that's a good motivation for my art, for me creating. To see it as a competition or some kind of, I don't know, contest every time. Like I said, I've joined so many competitions and contests and always been disappointed because I never won. So do I really want my art career, my whole career, to be the same? To be a big contest? No, I don't. I have no interest in getting a lot of followers. I just want to create, and I want someone to enjoy what I create. Yes, I want someone to read it and appreciate it. But for me, it's not the most important part that it becomes a big hit. What I want to create is stories that matter for me and for the reader. And if that reader is just some few people, maybe that's enough for me. Why do I make this video, you might ask? Well, I think we artists need to talk more about what's bothering us. And something that is bothering me is how focused the whole art scene have become on creating things that people will press the like button on. So a lot of artists on Instagram and on YouTube and on all these platforms, you can see how they create art that look very much the same. It's usually pretty girls and young women, bright colors. You know the kind of art I'm talking about, and that's not bad art. I really love that art, and I follow a lot of art that does that. But I also think that it's an easy step to do that, to create art that you know will achieve likes very quickly. And is that really what the world need? Do we need another account of prettier faces and watercolors and everything like that? Or do we need more stories? Do we need new perspectives? I don't want to criticize anyone for creating a certain kind of art. I think every art piece is important to show. But I also think that I personally would like to create art that come up with some new perspective. Art that inspire people to be something, to do something with their lives. Is that too much of an attempt? I don't know. I don't know if that's demanding too much of my art. And maybe that's the reason why I sometimes have trouble making it. But I don't think I'm alone. I think there's many more artists out there, maybe some of you who are listening to this, that agree with me that there needs to be a motivation to create art, and that motivation needs to be more than just a pretty picture. Do you agree? I would love to hear your opinion, so you please put your thoughts in the comments, because I would love to hear what you think about this. This is just me kind of rambling on about why I think our whole scene, artist scene, needs to talk about how and why we create art, and not just how. Not just how, but like why and with what motivation. Not just what tools and what kind of styles we use, but what motivates us and how we push ourselves forward mentally. Last but not least, I'm also thinking about the fact that when you compare yourselves with other artists, in many ways you're forgetting that each of us have, or that's what I usually do, I forget that all artists have their own experiences and development. How we develop as artists depend on our lives, how we got to where we are, what we consumed, and how we got inspired. And I personally also think there's really good art that doesn't look a certain way, but tell a story in a really good way. So there's so many aspects to good art and good storytelling. I think sometimes I am very good at criticizing my own work, but when it comes to what I actually enjoy in comics, I sometimes give more leniency to their mistakes or their faults, the other artists. So maybe it's just about me being less hard on myself. The whole idea of comparing yourself with another artist is also weird, because art is not that's the thing with contests, with competitions. Art is not a sport. You can't battle with art. You can't fight with art. Art is just something you create, and you enjoy creating it, and it's gonna be enjoyable to watch. Or you had a certain feeling when you created it, and that feeling was translated into the art. That should be the most important part, to translate feelings, I think. And to not focus on only translating the positive ones, but we also need to be able to translate the negative ones. I think that's what's motivating me most, is translating feelings into a story and letting you read it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful for you in some way, because I think it was helpful for me. Bye!